We can get started. So we'll continue with practice of Sri Ramchandra's Raj Yoga and its efficacy by Pujya sir. Last time we completed this page. So just for the continuity, we'll go through this paragraph and then we can get started. That being the position obtaining in our holy tradition, it is our bounden duty to achieve the various levels of superconsciousness that are made easily available with the practical methods given by our master, revered Babuji Maharaj, coupled with the help of the master's transmission or pranamate. A point again to note is that we will not be able to move into the upper portion of the superconsciousness here, D1, which is on the right side as against the left side in the heart region directly. However much we try it would not be possible. It is essential that the point B should be thoroughly cleaned by means of steady practice of meditation on the point and not cleaning of any kind. And through that, enter the point B1 so that entry into the upper portion here on the right side is possible through entry into the left portion. This is one of the fundamental discoveries of the master called the principle of invertendo. So we'll continue. At this level also, we have 2 points, A1 and B1. It is necessary that these points are also kept clean and pure to live in the state of superior sort of superconsciousness. Master says that this is possible only by working on points A and B. There is no work at A1 and B1. All work is to be done at A and B only. According to the purity of A and B, the purity of A1 and B1 is achieved. As noted earlier, the region has also an upper and lower region, but in inverted manner compared to the condition in the heart. This is a very important point to note. The level of superior state of superconsciousness denoted as D1 enables us to break away from the already weakened fetters of sense desires and ill will, and one achieves clearer state of realization. This is the state from which there is no return to rebirth at the material plane, or is called the state of liberation in the normal sense. But existence continues in the higher plane. It is almost impossible to move further to higher regions because service becomes very difficult to perform, and without service, the progress in spirituality becomes impossible. That is the reason why in the tradition it has been stated that even gods want to be born as humans so that they may grow out of the bondages of higher regions. So much remains to be done as our existence in the brighter world continues and is as much bondage as the grosser one. Any comments, questions? So thing to note here is that is mentioning about point A1 and B1, which we covered last time as a location of that. But the main thing is that we have to focus on point A and point B meditation. So that clears over the point A1 and B1. So the method is still point A and point B meditation. And here, as it describes the D1 consciousness, is weakened fetters of sense desires and ill will. So that is how we can see in terms of how much our sense desires and ill will has reduced. And the importance of service, that without service, the progress in spirituality becomes impossible. So this is, I think, something that we should keep in mind. Yeah. Any questions? Okay.
Dharmeshji, can you show us the diagram and explain those whatever A1, B1 points are there? And
Yeah. So this is here in the forehead, as you can see.
Yeah.
So this is where it's written that U is below and L is above. So this is what he explains as inverted. Right. So in the heart, L is below and U is above. It gets inverted, and that is where A1 and B1 are mentioned here.
Okay.
And here it says this is the preliminary state of Parahita. So the it's not a complete Parahita, but preliminary state of Parahita. As we go ahead, we'll also come to D2 consciousness. So we'll go ahead. So the true seeker yearns for the ultimate, and thus the journey to infinite moves further. We have seen earlier that the input for the consciousness at the heart level is heavily dependent on the lower portion, which is basically sensory in nature. From the sensory level of knowing, we have moved to the non-sensory way of understanding through feeling. This has enabled us to move in the lower level of superconsciousness. With the help of this non-sensory understanding, we moved into the level of D1 consciousness. Here, this superconsciousness drenched in the various conditions mentioned earlier in its march becomes our input. It is in the lower portion of in this region. Through this, we have to move to the upper portion. See diagram 3. So I believe diagram 3 is the same one which we saw here. And thus, from the language of feeling, which has guided us so far, we have to move on the realm of non-feeling feeling. Here, the language of silence starts. Silence speaks, so to say, however meaningless it might appear to be. If we try to enter into this state through the lower level, as understood at the heart level, it is almost impossible. Having, however, entered into the region of the upper here, it becomes possible for us to express our being through action, which are socially and spiritually relevant. That is the nature of Parahita that is possible and practicable here. The region of light begins and showers of light are experienced or rather imperienced. Further approach to the realms of humility and total dependence on the master becomes possible only by purifying the point B1, which enables us to live with finer ideas. The purity here is dependent on the purity at the point B only. There is no action at this level. The action is only at the point B. In practice, it means that we get oriented to the divine more and more and feel less and less of ourselves. the process of total negation starts. The humility that is developed at the earlier levels get formed up, and we enter into the realm of fana, negation. This enables us to move on the D2 consciousness. So here D2 is shown on top of the head, as you can see, and here again you can see that the it's inverted in the sense the L is on the top and U is below. Yeah. And now he's explaining more in terms of the what is the consciousness at a D2 level. This is further refinement of the superconsciousness achieved at D1. To express this in words is difficult, but traditionally this has been equated with the simple awareness of Sat Chit Anand. The topmost level, according to tradition, is thus achieved. Here, we do not get any supernormal powers to exhibit, but we always live in a state of consciousness which reflects its nature and emits its fragrance all around. There is a peculiar calm and peace enjoyed by everyone who sits by his side, and all other ideas temporarily get suspended. There is vibrant force that permeates the surroundings all the time. The radiation of the divine will be emanating from such a person. Up to this is the realm of the heart. Beyond this lies the realm of the divine, or what Master calls the mind region of God. It is at this state the sadhaka loses lust for form, lust for formless, conceit, restlessness, and prime ignorance of the nature of self. Then the entry to the realm of the divine becomes possible. Access to the region of the mind of God is given. It is only at the level of D2 consciousness the real problem starts from the sadhaka who has traveled all along with humility. The tests of humility lie here. Attachment and possessiveness of the divine, though premature, starts here. The servants of God become asuras at this stage. That is the story of Jaya Vijaya, who were the gatekeepers of the Vaikunt and who, through arrogance and possessiveness, hurt the feelings of Sanat Kumaras and were cursed to born as asuras. Note, this is annotative story is given only to understand the problem, and it should not be confused that the realm of Lord Vishnu is anywhere here. Master has clarified the position about these functionaries and their playground is much below in the Pindadesh. Okay. So we'll take a pause here. Any questions, comments? Atul, you want to add?
No, I think it is fine. It's quite evident.
The principle of invertendo works again. The upper portion of the region of superconsciousness of the D1 type, which was in the right side again, gets inverted here and is located in the left side. The D2 consciousness lies in the region named B2, marked U. The access to B2 is through A2, which again is dependent upon the purity achieved in B at the heart level. Discerning Abhyasis should note this point that meditation at point B, suggested in the beginning of sadhana, is the key to all the levels above. Beyond this lies the realm of God's mind, or the mind region. It is considered not necessary to note these regions except for knowing the possibilities in higher approach. The mind region, as already hinted earlier, is beyond the scope of Abhyasi to fully know. The central region, which is the discovery of the Grand Master Lalaji Maharaj, is the final limit to which we can move with the help of the practices stated earlier and the help of the transmission, the unique principles of this system. We'll take a pause here. Now, another article on the same explaining the efficacy by Pujya sir starts. Just one thing, as he's talking about coming out of sense perceptions to the feeling level, and this is where we should be able to express the feelings more and more in our diary. And then he's talking about from the feeling moving to the language of silence. So the more we are able to express our what we are feeling and the nature of silence, that helps us and to also develop the sensitivity and to know the condition. We'll start with this article. Sri Ramchandra Ji Maharaj of Shahjahanpur, UP, India has presented his system of Rajayoga in more than one manner. In his first book, Commentary on 10 Commandments of SRRY, he explained the system from the point of practical methods to be adopted to achieve the desired goal, namely moderation in daily life. This is broadly the ethics of the system. In his book, Efficacy of Raj Yoga, in the light of SRRY, he has presented the possibilities of human consciousness for development from the absolutely self-centered one to divine-oriented through various levels called by him as heart region, mind region, and central region. In this work, he invents 2 points in the human frame located in the chest A and B and advises meditation on these points for evolution of consciousness. In his book Towards Infinity, he has presented the system of various levels of consciousness lying twisted due to the very nature of involution itself, and identified mainly 13 knots and many more of lesser importance for general assessment of growth of an individual. Before any person evaluates the worth of the system, it is necessary to note what is the goal that the system is offering. The system of Raj Yoga presented by Sri Ramchandra Ji Maharaj has got a definite goal of making the human living happy. Happiness in creation is the aim of the Lord when he manifested himself as nature and all creative processes thereafter. Any system which says that the world is unworthy and is sinful or qualified by any such adjectives and exhort individuals to get back to the Lord or his home is asking for something that is different from what God intended. We are all here only to share his glory and be happy. After the span of life expires, everyone is entitled to get back to his home. This can be achieved by following simple ways of living. This objective of the practice, namely achieving happiness, is naturally dependent on peace and harmony that an individual can achieve. Peace and harmony invariably involves others in the consideration. Therefore, the basic and essential interrelatedness of existence has to be known, realized, and then practiced. For this, the method suggested by the Master is the development of necessary moderation in all spheres of life, leading to a balanced living. The system does not propose any austere measures to be practiced to curtail kama, sex urge, and krodha, anger. He gives practical methods of meditation on certain points identified and located by him. He further makes it clear that annihilation of these basic urges will only engender life itself. He says that they are God given and cannot be annihilated. He advocates certain purificatory practices in addition to the meditational practices and also advises individuals to take help from other brothers and sisters who are capable of assisting them in this regard through the system of pranahuti. However, he demands that moha, lust or infatuation, lobha, greed, and ahankar, egoism, are to be tackled by the individual himself through self restraint or other methods. To achieve this, he has suggested the 10 commandments to be followed. They are necessary if one wants to lead a balanced existence. As for ahankar, he says that so long an individual is capable and says he is capable, there is no ahankar. He gives the example of a person who is a PhD and says he is one, there is no ahankar. But if he is not and says he is one such, then that is ahankar. Thus, we find a totally different meaning given to this much dreaded term in traditional methods. More than that, we see through his example that lie or falsehood is the product of this ahankar. So long as a person is bound to truth without giving unwarranted assumptions under which falsehood can be uttered, one can be sure that he is not in the clutches of ahankar. Take a pause here. So this is a good way to know ahankar, right? So long as a person is bound to truth without giving unwarranted assumptions under which falsehood can be uttered, one can be sure that he is not in the clutches of ahankar. We try to give assumptions to ourselves in the various situations. This is not applicable to me, or this is not applicable under these circumstances, and so on. The practice of the commandments given by him appear to be easy for the beginner, but as he starts practicing, it becomes clear to him all these are not that easy unless there is corresponding spiritual condition. An attempt is made here based on experience of the aspirants to identify the various levels of consciousness required and the meditation on A and B points to be practiced. It is easy to see that point A meditation involves the good of others, while point B meditation takes into consideration the development of self. Therefore, so long one is in the realm of self-oriented consciousness, the meditation on point B will be highly useful and necessary. Similarly, when the state of consciousness covers other than self, meditation on point A is useful and necessary. It should, however, be borne in mind that meditation only on these points A and B will not be enough. These are in addition to the regular requirement of meditation on the heart advised in the morning and the purificatory practice given for the evening. In addition, regular individual training with the trainers and satsang should be practiced. So now is covering all the commandments, the condition of that, and its relation with the point A and point B meditation. And this is something we have in the training program also. We cover this, what is now going through each of the commandments. So the training program stages of progress topic has this relationship of the meditational practices, stages of progress, and the commandments. First commandment, to practice this commandment, it is necessary that the aspirant understand the temporal nature of existence and need to detach oneself from sloth and indolence, which makes him sleep longer hours than required. It also demands that the importance of the goal be always kept in mind. Traditionally, this was called the development of Vivek and Vairagya. Therefore, it becomes clear that the knots 1 and 1A are to be loosened. This can be done by meditating on point B, located by the master, which, when made clearer, makes the goal clearly understood. Commandment 2, to practice this commandment, one has to understand that he cannot be confined to the animal level of existence and has to transcend the basal needs level. It also demands that one is clear about need for love and devotion to the spirit behind all existence. This also relates to knots 1 and 1A, and therefore meditation on point B is necessary to be practiced diligently. Commandment 3, practice of this commandment. To practice this commandment, one has to have faith in oneself that he can reach the goal apart from the requirements of the earlier states related to 1 and 2 commandments. This also relates to the knots 1 and 1A, and therefore the practice on meditation on point B is absolute must. Commandment 4, to practice this commandment, one should know the essential nature of life, that it is simple and one need not struggle always against it. The oneness with all forms of existence can be had only when one knows his integral and inseparable oneness with it. This demands the consciousness of the nature of the individual self. This relates to knots 1A and 2. Therefore, practice of meditation on point B, which makes it clear that divine is omnipresent, is necessary. Commandment 5, to practice this commandment, one should know the true nature of oneself. Traditionally, it is called Saswarupa Jnana. Unless this nature of total dependency on God for existence is known, it would not be possible to accept miseries of existence as divine blessings. This relates to knot 2, and therefore meditation on point B helps a lot in achieving this level. Commandment 6, to practice this commandment, one should know the nature of the self clearly as interdependent with the other forms of existence, apart from the divinity itself. This relates to the condition of knots 2 and 3, and therefore can be easily practiced only when one is regular with the meditation on both point B and A points. Commandment 7, to practice this commandment, it is necessary that one should know that he is totally dependent on God and mainly his devotee consciousness. This relates to the condition of knots 2 and 3, and therefore, even as in 6th commandment, meditation on both points, both the A and B points, is necessary. It may be noted that unless one practices meticulously and regularly on these points, The stabilization in second and third knot will not be possible. This alone is the basis on which devotion in the real sense to the master develops. Commandment 8. To practice this commandment, it is necessary that one realizes that there is nothing existence without the divine, and therefore one has to maintain the purity of existence in every sense of the term. Purity demands honesty and piety, and to practice them without the awareness of the inherent divinity everywhere is not possible. This relates to the knots 3 and 4. Therefore, the meditation on both A and B points alone will make this attainable. Commandment 9. To practice this, it is necessary that one fully understands the true nature of his self as being dependent on God and others, and the need to maintain purity of existence in all respects as divinity is all pervasive. This consciousness is the sum total of all the earlier states of consciousness and essentially relates to the knot 5. Meditation on points A and B assiduously and regularly enables one raise to this condition. Commandment 10. To practice this, one has to know his humble status before the divine. Humility is a virtue that develops only when one becomes conscious of the limitations of existence and the infinitesimal proportion of existence over which he deludes himself as having no control. This relates to the knot 5, where the nature of reality in its gross form is had. Meditation on points A and B are essential for achieving this. As a matter of fact, the entry to the higher realm of consciousness marked as you by the master is possible only when one has reasonably managed to practice the first 6 commandments. To consider that the practice of these commandments is not all that essential because of the transmission of the master or because of the grace of the master ever flowing to us is not correct. We have to do our duty. These are commandments and therefore should be implemented. It may take time, but one is sure to meet with success with determination and dependency on the master. So this is something we cover in the training program. So the people who are participating in the training program would be familiar with these things. Yeah. Anything to add? Any questions related to the relationship of the commandment, meditational practice, that is point A and point B meditation, and the condition that has to be there in order for us to practice the commandment naturally. Just one thing I want to add is that where it is written as a condition, right? So let's say in commandment 2, which is begin your puja with a prayer for spiritual elevation with a heart full of love and devotion. So it says to practice this commandment, one has to understand that he cannot be confined to animal level of existence and has to transcend the basal needs level. It also demands that one is clear about the need for love and devotion to the spirit behind all existence. So this is described as a condition. What has helped is to feel this condition, right? That being fed up with the animal level of existence, and the clarity that we have developed over a period of time, that love and devotion to the master, or love and devotion to the spirit behind all existence, that is Paramatma, is to feel that, and that helps us in more understanding and to be able to express our feelings. And obviously, the more we are able doing the point B diligently, it helps in practicing this commandment, in doing the prayer with heart full of love and devotion. Take one more example. So here, if you say commandment 6, know all people as thy brethren and treat them as such. So many times we look at it more as external things, whereas it says to practice this commandment, one should know the nature of self clearly as interdependent with other forms of existence apart from the divinity itself. Right? So this relates to the condition of knots 2 and 3. Right? So when we are thinking about the interdependent with other forms of existence, so let's say if we close our eyes and think how we are interdependent with the other forms of existence and what is that we feel, that will really help us, because otherwise we are thinking more about ourself, right? Or thinking of self as more as an independent, and then the others are intruding in our space of self, right? So feeling the interdependency with the other forms of existence apart from the divinity. So that is how you can try to feel the condition and see what emerges, and how that gives more clarity. In same way, you can just 2 examples, but you can do it for any commandment. So if there is nothing, then we can conclude today's session, and we'll meet next week. Thank you. Namaste.